I'm going to play you another video. This one is from the incoming Olubadan. This particular thing I'm about to play, I was concerned that this will happen. It's Kabiyesi already, Oba Rasheed Ladoja, but it will become Olubadan in Osogbo in September. But it says something very, I can't even say concerning. I knew this would happen. I just didn't know it was going to happen this fast. Take a listen to this.
Money, Ibadan, nǹkan náà máa ṣe gómìnà. Lọ́ba ti kọ́ lọ́dẹ̀rẹ́. Torí pé ní àwọn kan mẹ́ta àtàkìyí àti tẹ́tẹ̀lẹ̀ àti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí àti wọn. Nígbà tí wọ́n náà fẹ́ ṣe chairman president House of Chiefs and invitation dàpẹ́. Wọ́n ní ìtàn sọ pé Alaafin, ìtàn sọ pé kìnnìkan. Kò lè ta fẹ́ jésì House of Assembly la ń gbé bíìlì lọ. Olùsọ́tọ́ pé bàbá mi ṣe kàn báyìí ní kọ́tà ìtọ́sìn. Ìjọ ọ̀gá náà fẹ́ ṣe lábúlé rẹ̀. Mo ní ẹ má gbàgbé o. That is two members who are in also. Speaker kan wà láàrin wọn. Sábà máa dìbò speaker ò ní dìbò. 15 32 la ní o. Pẹ̀lú support sí àwọn House of Assembly dẹ̀ fún wa. Tàbá ní gbígbà nìkan dìbò sí ìbò ó ti sí wọn. Nítorí ẹ̀ lọ́sọ fún mi kan lọ́sọ fọ́lá fi hàn pé tí Ìbàdàn bá fẹ́ máa jẹ́ permanent chairman.
I don't know if you heard what he said. You don't understand, I'll explain. Ọ̀rọ̀ tí ń jà ràn-ìràn ó ti ṣe díẹ̀ máa ṣàlàyé nǹkan tán sọ. Ọ̀rọ̀ tí ń jà ràn-ìràn ọ̀rọ̀ chairman House of Chiefs lọ́yọ̀ state lọ́rọ̀ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí. Ṣé rí látijọ́ nígbà tí Western region wà a ní House of Chiefs, right? And tó jẹ́ permanent chairman was Ooni. Ooni tó jẹ́ permanent chairman gbà yẹn àwọn ni Ọba Rasheed Adewolu Ladoja, àwọn di Kábíyèsí, wọ́n di Ooni ní 1930. And he was there for 50 years. Orí àlééfà náà wà nígbà tí Southern region tó di méjì. Orí àlééfà náà wà nígbà tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí yan indigenous governor. So àwọn náà jẹ́ first governor Western region. But apart from that, kí ẹ̀tẹ̀ tó ṣẹlẹ̀ wọ́n ti wà ní parliament. I'm code mixing intentionally. Àwọn náà jẹ́ permanent chairman House of Chiefs ní Western region. You see, in 1930, Oba Rasheed Adewolu Ladoja became the Ooni of Ife. Right? In 1939, the Southern region was broken into two, Eastern region and Western region. Now, in the 40s, into the 50s, when the idea of House of Chiefs started in Western region, Baba became the permanent chairman of the House of Chiefs. That means that whether you are from Edo State, present Edo State, or you're from, whether you are Benin, or you are Warri, or you are Ijo, or you are Yoruba, regardless of where you were in Western region, Ooni was the permanent chairman. I'm not even going to ancient history now. Now, when the Midwest was created in 1963, the Midwest was excised from the Western region. So Ooni was still the permanent chairman of the chiefs or the kings in the Western region. In 1967, Lagos State was carved out of the Western region. In 1976, the remaining states, so we have Lagos State, we have the Western State, the Western State was now broken into three in 1976 by Murtala Mohammed. So you had Ondo State, Ogun State, and then Oyo State. In Oyo State, Kábíyèsí Ooni wọ́n wá jẹ́ Ifẹ̀, ó bọ́ sí Oyo State. Oyo State, no, àbí Oyo Town, no, ó bọ́ sí Oyo State. But guess who was still the permanent chairman of the House of Chiefs? Ooni. While he was governor, while he was the head of permanent king of Western region, he was ìgbà tó wà ńbẹ̀ ní Ọba Ọ̀yọ́ di ọba o. He was the one that presented the certificate sí fún Alaafin o. The issue is not Nigerian politics. It's an individual thing. It's disrespect for tradition and order and hierarchy. When you then had Oyo, 1980, Kábíyèsí wájà, Oba Rasheed Adewolu, and then the person who was now the assistant or the deputy who was deputizing for him and was acting chairman was then Oba Demi. Again, father, son, in fact, grandfather and grandson. If Baba leaves, láàrin àwọn tó kù, òun ló tún fẹ́ yọrí. So only for the new Ooni at the time, Oba Rasheed in 1980, he now got crowned, and of course he had to resume that role because that role is a permanent seat, not for the person, but for the stool. It's the stool of the Ooni. It's not about the person that is there. But he then gets in there, and then became a problem. That's one of the major things that caused the whole change of history. All this history, everybody's changing history, everybody's changing history. That's one of the things that changed everything. Because of this whole who was going to be permanent chairman. That eventually led to what happened in 1991, which was the creation of Osun State, which then meant that, of course, Ooni is in Osun State and Alaafin is in Oyo State. So he's the permanent chairman, Abi, right? No. Why? Because now, in the last few years, before Oba Demi Kotowaja, they were saying that they cannot be having a permanent chairman in Alaafin, in Oyo State. Why? Kini Ajasheshoriti no Kyoshe. Ibadan also wants to have chairmanship position. Ogomosho is also asking for it. You cannot tell now. You're not telling them that used to be emperor or be empire. Did you hear what Oba Ladoja said? He said because now it's going to be decided by the House of Assembly. And do you know how many people are in the House of Assembly? Oyo State has 33 local governments. Oyo State has 33 House of Representative members. One of them is a speaker, leaving 32. Of the 32, 16 are in Ibadan. Guess who will win if you decide to put that to a vote? So they are dropping the message now. Get here, it's going to be rotational. I mean, he's the only one that can say it. It's Kábíyèsí. He said Ibadan has the people and the seats. If they want to be permanent chairman, I mean, if they want their own king to be the permanent chairman forever, it will be done. Because they have the numbers. You see, here we say we don't want respect for tradition and culture. Let's scatter. They will scatter everything now. That's what Oba Ladoja is saying. That this thing is going to House of Assembly. And of the 33 members, one is the speaker. The remaining 32, 16 are from Ibadan. Want to get half already. If they find one person from maybe Okeo or Lanlate, just one person, but of course, 2/3 majority, they will get it. What does this tell you? You see, if you want to be using British Guinea corn for people now start using Nigerian politics for you. Somebody says, Oba Ladoja was a politician, he sabi this thing. Yes, now. A lot of it, let me tell you something that happens when people tell you can't on board for Agba. It's not just because they want you to talk or they want to keep your mouth shut. It's not that. When people tell you to respect, when they tell you about the culture of respect, it's not because they want you not to be able to say what's in your mind. It's because the day you begin to disrespect those ahead of you, you have given everybody beneath you the license to drag you. And guess what? There's nothing you will say. But see, guess what? It gets worse because the ones who would have respected that throne, all man disrespected, kia, or they kan. Hear what they are saying now. This thing no, is not about history, it's about House of Assembly. Wọ́n wá sọ fún wa bóyá a máa fi House of Assembly, a máa wá empire. Empire on gan da gan náà. Mi fẹ́ sọ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ dọ́bí máa ń da ṣẹ́nu po. Empire on gan da. But empire too. Empire to two in the 1830s. Capital mi ò ló ti wà lẹ́yìn empire yẹn, capital méjì. You've moved twice since the whole thing scattered. No thanks to Fulani people. So empire wo gan lambara sọ̀rọ̀ tí ò tiẹ̀ that's a farabalẹ̀ béèrè. See, my point is just that, see, number one, if you disrespect Ooni, this Ooni, kò ní sọ̀rọ̀. Ṣebí Igboho lọ sáàfin ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá. Tó lóun ti bú kábíyèsí, ó ti bú kábíyèsí, ìgbà tó ń bọ̀, wọ́n tún kọrin fún, wọ́n tún kì í. Ṣé rí ọ̀bẹ yẹn ló yẹ kí wọ́n abẹ̀rù? Ìrí ọ̀bẹ yẹn ló yẹ kí wọ́n abẹ̀rù. Kò ní bẹ́ẹ̀ jà. Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn èèyàn àwọn tó yẹ kó máa gbé ẹ gẹ̀gẹ̀, wọ́n máa fi ẹ́ wọlẹ̀ torí pé o ti ṣílẹ̀kùn. Yes, Ibadan later took over. Ibadan was on its way to becoming an empire before the British arrived. For all intents and purposes, it was because they had vassal states. They were having ajeles in different places in Yoruba land. Of course, before what now eventually became the world, and so on and so forth. Ibadan was already and this is not 5, 10, 20, 30 years after the fall of Oyo. Again, I like to tell this history when there is no controversy on the ground, so that when that me, I don't like history that way because I see we are weaponizing it. A day will come when we talk about the history of Oyo. We did a little about Afonja the other day. But let's say, for instance, if Ilorin is doing something wrong right now, I'm not going to talk about Afonja. I won't go deep into that history because it's not the time, in my own opinion. So the Oyo history, we'll talk about it, but I will say it like, regardless of when it fell or whatever, it's still great. But it's not greatness to challenge authority or to change the order of things. That's not greatness. That's foolishness. Next, look, you pick which one makes sense. Could make sense. I don't do me mi mo bi àwọn tó tẹ̀ fi kíní mi ọbẹ̀ mi náà ṣe ń rí ògbà kíní ọ̀ ní ṣe kíní kan wọ́n tún wá sọ̀rọ̀ kan ṣé bó tiẹ̀ máa níbi kan tí wọ́n máa ní ìjánu wá ti pé inú bí mi bọ́ mi lè dárúkọ mi lè sọ báyìí wà kàn dé lánàá gbàgà kí ni máa bí ọ̀bá yẹn ṣe kó sọ fún pé kéèyàn kókè stage yìí sìn orí platform yìí ṣe kó sọ pé aim ṣá it's a shame all for what? For a history that began after the fall of whatever empire. Did you see the president of Italy shouting we were a Roman Empire? Even Britain that had did you hear British Empire anymore? Who will talk about it? Empire on Gonda. Oyinbo go buy empire and that's the funny thing. Oyinbo buy empire Oyinbo buy your empire. By Oyinbo I mean British. Portuguese did not come that way. Portuguese was Benin, Warri, and eventually Ife in the 17th century. Imagine for a second that the Olu of Warri will say, because he met the Portuguese first, now he is now more important. I'm like, how can your legitimacy be from something that happened in recent times? Because see, in Yoruba history, anything that happened in the last 200-300 years, 400 years, is recent. That's the thing with ancient peoples. What happened in 200, let's say 200 years ago or 300 years ago, is recent history for Yoruba people. You know, these things are, what's the word I'm looking for? It depends on how you see them. They're relative. That's the word. They're relative. So for a people who just started out, that would be ancient history. But for us, Bianolori. Because when you compare that to centuries of history, it's like yesterday. So how can you be getting your legitimacy from Oyinbo Walana? Meanwhile, Akende Gbegbon, lawyer, everybody knows this. And you see that even in the story that the myth created around Oromio. There are myths, and I like to talk about. I would rather talk about those myths than talk about I don't think it's necessary. But the myth that was created that they wove right around Oyo was woven out of the fact that Akende Gbegbon, ṣùgbọ́n kì í ṣe Akende gba bàbá ẹ̀ sì wà bàbá ẹ̀ sì wà àárín àwọn ẹgbẹ́ ẹ̀ tọ́jọ́ bí tọ́jọ́ ọmọ tọ́jọ́ èrò wọ́n ti máa sọ ta ló jù mí ta ni ò jù mí tọ́jà bá ń gbó ó máa mọ ibi tí náà wà. We have to be very careful with this Yoruba history, and for those who always say, "Oh, why just let it be." That is not how to look for. Somebody wrote peers. Yes, that's what I meant by hero. That's the peers. You cannot have progress without truth, especially in a case where you have all this bickering. That's the Araba of Osogbo, Oba Elebuibon. As far as I am concerned, again, you may not like this. In this world, when it comes to Ifa, I have others. I have, if we are talking about Ifa people, two people that I look up to, and I have studied for years, Oba Elebuibon and Baba Wande Abimbola, and I hope that at some point they will help us. I hope at some point they're going to help us, particularly Baba Wande Abimbola, because he's the one that are not that far Alaafin. One kini gan kono mo sha yan no ma ke ran se kini. Ẹ wo. Yo Ọlọ́run. Gbogbo kan ma lo yo Ọlọ́run. So what I find, and I wish it's not happening, is this whole thing about people now asserting authority, saying that listen, you can't be the permanent chairman. Others also have, others should be able to also, what's the word now? All right, rotate the chairmanship position, which is what's going to happen, and it's happening because of things like this. But guess what? Everybody should keep at it. And I don't even have to say, Baba Sole kan, Jalo ni Jalola, lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀pọ̀, ipò ọ̀nà ipò kíni. On top of what? See, I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago. I mean, Ooni is, you can, on this matter, he has no fault, right? So you look at the Ajere Institute, you look at the Free Bus Initiative, you look at the malls that is built in Ife, in Akure, you look at the scholarship scheme, you look at the social media platform you just created last week. I didn't even talk about that one together. Created a social media platform last week. Is that not what should challenge other kings? How can we recreate something like this in our space? Which one is British came and gave me something? Who cares? Yes, no, that the results in Lagos were even before he became king. After he became king, let me tell you so. Like, these are things that we should hear and get get excited. Okay, I want to see this kind of thing in Ibadan. I want to see it in Ogbomoso. See what the Shaun is doing now. See what the Shaun is doing. Shaun is, inviting people from different places because, of course, he's lived abroad, he's done all these things, but he's trying to use that to develop Ogbomoso. So he's asking people to come and build stuff and do stuff, then talk about chieftaincy title and things like that. That's what you want to hear. Not like you sit to one place and be shouting, I'm older than bigger, and like, who are you? Show my age, mini. Talk about I'm older than you. Show my age, mini. The social media is called Together. Together. 2. That number 2. GEDA. I saw it. I saw the advert. I hope we actually focus on things that matter. However, we cannot focus on things that matter and let people just let the wrong narrative just fly because we want to keep peace. That's not peace. That's the peace of a graveyard. That will require death. The silence of the graveyard is not peace. It's death. If you want peace, you create order, structure.